Okay, so we are into scenario 3 of the solo game that's on the Burrows and Badgers Facebook page. So this is a surprise attack. So basically in the previous two, first mission, my warband had to try and help a village which was getting raided. They failed to do that. In mission 2, we managed to succeed in getting the grain for the villagers that was left behind, so we managed to get in, defeat the raiders that were sort of trying to destroy the grain, and we managed to grab that, get it out. And in this one, basically we're having a well-earned rest. Now, the raiders, obviously seeing as my group have basically put pay to their sort of objective of sort of getting this village and destroying their resources, are now out for revenge, as I've put a few of them to the blade, as it were. So my guys are sort of going to be held up in a old store, sort of haulage yard. Now, for those that are interested, and obviously previously, Magrathea, Builder of Worlds, built this for us at Black Dragon Miniatures. It's Stoatbarts Yard, so you'll have a look at that, and I'll put a link in the description below if you want to see it being built. Then obviously do check out the link in Magrathea. So we're going to be using that building. So this is a scenario where my warband has one guy who is on duty. He's the lookout. The rest of my guys are sleeping. So we've got 8 random beasts which are going to try and get in and attack my guys whilst they're asleep. So if they manage to break me, or if they manage to get at least half of my men out of action, then they will win the scenario. If I manage to get them all down to literally just one guy left, then I win the scenario. For the secondary objective, we're using the ones from the scenario, and I rolled I think it was a 7 and a 13. Irrespective, 13 I couldn't do. I think it was capture buildings. I'm already in the building, there's nothing else for me to capture. So number 7 was conserve, so I get 2 experience points if I have nobody out of action at the end of the game. So that could be a bit of a challenge, but we shall see. If I do win, then basically I will get 2 experience points, and obviously if I conserve, I think I get 2 as well. So it could be a good one, this. 4 experience points should take me up a level for all of my guys, and we'll see how we get on. So do watch and enjoy. And obviously I've got the low lights on, represent it being a bit darker as my guys are sleeping, so hopefully that won't be too bad on camera. So speak to you in a bit. Bye bye. Okay, so here we have Stoatbarts Yard, and we have the attackers playing on 3x3. We have a hedgehog and a pug just down here, and then on the right hand side we have a rabbit and a terrier hound, and another rabbit armed with a bow just down by this tree. And then at the top of the board there is a rabbit with a polearm and 2 weasels, one with a double-handed weapon and one with 2 hand weapons. For the defenders, we have my mouse, which is Luca. He is armed with a polearm, and he is on scout duty. Then in the main barn itself, we have Artemis, we have Sebastian, and we have Theodore. They are asleep in there. And then in the smaller outbuilding, we have Pierre the mole and Marek the mouse. So that is our warband hiding in there. So because the mouse is the only one that is actually awake at the moment, we are going to use his presence and fortitude for the roll-offs. So the white dice will be the warband, and it's a draw, so we'll re-roll that. And again, another draw, good start. Okay, so the mouse does get to activate first at least. Okay, so with all of the raiders classing as hidden at the start of the scenario, it's going to be very difficult for the mouse to actually see someone. So I'm going to actually activate with Pierre the mole. I'm just going to take the roofs off these buildings for the time being. You can see what's going on. So the mole is activated, and as such, if the alarm goes off, he won't be able to hear it this turn as he's in deep sleep. So then we'll go to the mouse with the pole arm, and he's going to do, sorry, this is a rabbit with pole arm, so he's going to go move there, and then move there, so he's right up to the edge by the well. Back over to mine, and I'll activate Sebastian, so he will sleep. And then we will go with one of the weasels, who's going to move up to the door frame. I want to activate Marek, and again another weasel. It's going to move up. There's 2 weasels ready to bash that door in next turn. We're going to go with One Eye, so trying to keep Artemis in this if we can. So we're going to actually try a shot here with the rabbit. So the range stat on the rabbit is going to be a D6. He's going to get +2 for standing still. However, Marek is close to, Luca is close to terrain, so it's only going to get +1. However, he's firing from hidden. So this is a straight roll off, with the white dice being my warband. And so Luca gets a 3, but the Raider manages to get a 6, which becomes 13, obviously, because it's perfect roll. So the +2 modifier for standing still is negated by the -1 for the cover or partial line of sight and the proximity to cover. So that's a +10 difference. Now Luca does wear light armour, which obviously reduces that by 1, so Luca takes 9 points of damage, which is not a good start at all. And that is squirrel activated. So with that in mind, Luca desperately is going to try and raise the alarm. So in this scenario, he's supposed to actually potentially see an enemy, but the fact he's got an arrow sticking out of him, I think, is good enough reason for him to raise the alarm. So the alarm gets raised, and we now can see whether other people can activate. So that is his action. He has rung the bell. It's back over to the Raiders, and this time Rabbit moves over to here for 1 action. So the rabbit has got 8 inches up to the wall. The wall itself is 2.5 inches high, so he's going to need 5 to clear it, which is actually what he does. So over jumps the rabbit. We're now going to see if Artemis wakes up. So he needs a roll of a 6, which he doesn't get, so Artemis is activated and stays asleep. Okay, the pug, there's 6 and 6 to the front door. As all of the warband have activated, we'll move the rest up. So that's the hedgehog, 6 for the terrier, and another 6 for the terrier. So that ends turn 1. just remove all the action markers. So not a great turn really. We've got a rabbit in the compound already, and we've got the main gate and the back door. So the back door has 12 hit points. The main gate itself has 20 hit points, similar to the car in the previous scenario. That's not actually in the scenarios written, but I think it sort of ties in with that. So into turn 2, and we have the roll off. So again, white being the warband, and this time it's the raiders that get to go first again. So with that in mind, I think the rabbit is going to try another shot at Luca, try and take him down. So again, it's a straight roll off, white being Luca. And this time Luca loses by another 2, which will put him, but he's also got 2 wound increments, so he actually scores a 0, so he takes another 4 points of damage, minus the armor is 3 damage, so he was on 9, that takes him up to 12 damage, so he's now on 3 increments. He is not in a good way at all. However, what he is going to do is, let's just move that camera around slightly so we can see a bit more of the action. So what he is going to do is he's going to move and attack the rabbit that has jumped. So, looking to attack the rabbit. Now Luca is a D8 if you remember, because in the last scenario he actually had an upgrade, and I'm actually going to spend 2 fate points to give him the best opportunity before he gets taken out, because if he doesn't do this, he's going to be in big trouble. So he's getting +1 strike from the pole arm, but he is also a -3, which is not good because the best he got was a 4, even with 3 dice rolled, which minus the increments of wounds takes him down to 1, back up 1, 2, 2 versus 5. That rabbit doesn't suffer any damage at all from that, and the rabbit will strike back. So Luca's only on a D4. Again, I'm conscious of my secondary mission, which is to preserve the life of my model, so I'm going to put an extra fate in, so increase my chance of getting that perfect roll. Still failed to get the perfect roll, but I do beat the rabbit. However, I have 3, minus my 3 wound increments puts me down to 0. The rabbit has 1, so he does 1 point of damage, but that is negated by my armour. So fortunately, even though it cost me 2 fate, I have managed to get away with that. So we're now going to try and see if we can wake someone up. So we're going to go with Artemis, the leader, and he does wake up, so that is his action. But importantly, the big cat is going to be in the game. Back over to these guys, and the pug is going to try and hit the door, so and gets a 1, but he's got a double-handed weapon, so that becomes 3 points of damage, so the door goes down to 17. This is the main door. We're going to see if we can wake up Sebastian. Sebastian stays asleep. The hedgehog's going to hit the front door for 2 damage. Main gate's down to 15. So we've gone with the hare, gone with both of those. So we're going to try and wake up the hare next for the warband. No, he stays. The rabbit with the pole arm, he's going to try and hit the door for 2. So down to 13 damage on the door. Quite a well built door this, evidently. Tim does make his doors well. I'm going to see if Pierre the mole wakes up, and he does, so Pierre is up. I'm going to go with the weasel with the two-handed weapon. 5, 6, 7, so 7 damage on the back door, takes that down to 5. The last one to try and wake up is Marek. He doesn't wake up. And then I think we've got the last one, which is the Hound. Doesn't quite get to the door. In fact, actually no, we've got the one with 2 hand weapons. So he gets +1 strike for having 2 hand weapons, 6, and that is enough to knock this back door out. And as such, they have breached at the back. So, end of the turn, and Artemis is alive, but in trouble, as his warband really needs to try and win this next turn. Okay, so with Artemis now awake, that does change things slightly, because I now have the advantage of winning the first activation. It doesn't work though, the Raiders still win on a 4-3. And the first thing that they're going to do is the rabbit is going to try and hit Luca, who's going to try and survive again by using another fate point. This time he does get the 4. Unfortunately for him though, the rabbit gets the perfect roll of a 6 as well, and as such that's 13 versus 11 currently. 13 versus 8, that's 5 points of damage. That is enough to take Luca out of action, which means that I cannot secure my secondary objective now, which is not good. So we'll see if the others wake up first, I think. So we're going to activate Marek. No, he stays asleep. So we're going to go with the Pug. Pug is going to try and hit that door again for 6 damage, 7 because he's a Hound. So that takes the door down to 6 points of damage remaining. We'll see if Sebastian wakes up, which he doesn't. The Hedgehog does 3 points of damage on the door. We will see if the Hare wakes up, which he doesn't. The Squirrel with the polearm does finish the main door off, and as such that has now, we now have the building completely breached. Change the angle here a little bit. Okay, so and with that the mole charges out at the hedgehog. So Pierre is on a d6. The mole is also on a d6. The mole will be on yellow. Sorry, the hedgehog will be on yellow. Pierre gets the perfect roll. So it becomes 13, 14. 14 versus 5 is a difference of 9, and then he is strong 1 naturally, and strong 2 because he's using a hand weapon with 2 hands. So that's 13, 14, 15, that's 10 points of damage, which is a mighty blow to the hedgehog. Alright, so the dog can't get in there, First weasel's going to move in, unsuspecting, maybe. Artemis is going to come out and hit the weasel. No fear check obviously, because the weasel's not scared of the Artemis. Now Artemis is going to put a fate in as he tries to take the weasel out. Unarm the weasel. Best he gets is a 4, which is actually still enough to do some damage, because the weasel also managed to score a 4. However, with the charge bonus, that will take him up to 5, so he wins by 1. Strong 2 naturally, and so that is 3 damage to the weasel. Not great, just a little flesh wound on the weasel there, but it is a start. However, it has now left Artemis in trouble, as the second weasel now moves in on Artemis, so he will be D8 for Artemis, his block, D6 for the weasel. However, the weasel will be getting +1 for moving in, +1 for the extra hand weapon, so that's +2, and then +2 for having the bodies, so he's actually on +4 versus Artemis's +1 for having the shield. So effectively +3 to the weasel, but Artemis rolls a 6, which is more than enough to beat the weasel's 3, and luckily manages to survive that. So with the clatter of combat going on, and obviously the fact that everyone's in the building, the squirrel is now going to do a double move to get up to a position where it can support, and the hound can't get into the combat, so he's just going to, in fact he's going to try and climb over the wall, so he's going to try and go 2, it's not enough, he's just on top, and that will end that turn. So now with the clatter of fighting going on outside, the others will now wake up on 5s. Again, it's supposed to be 6s all the way through, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense unless these guys are literally chloroformed out. So we're going to put them on 5s now, so see if they can start to wake. Roll off. This time the warband do manage to win the turn, and they're going to go with the mole first, or actually maybe Artemis first. I think we'll go with Artemis first, and again we'll throw another fate in whilst we've still got fate points left against the wounded weasel. Gets an 11, which is the highest he's got, versus a 2, so there's no incremental negative for the weasel, so that's wins by 9, 10, 11 damage, which will put that weasel on 14, and in a very bad way, but not enough to take him out of the game, unfortunately. The pug is going to move in against the mole. So the mole is on a D6, which will be the white one. The pug's also on a D6. So the mole, it's going to be a draw actually, because the pug is getting +2 for having the outnumbering. The mole managed to get a 4, so nothing there. The mole survives, which will allow the mole to fight, and he's going to go against the hedgehog. Now the hedgehog's going to be on -2 here, so wins by 1, wins by 3 effectively, 4, so 4 points of damage inflicted on the hedgehog. Okay, so the wounded weasel is going to have a go back at Artemis. So he's getting +2 for outnumbering, however he's -3, so he's effectively -1. And let's see how he gets on. And Artemis scores a perfect roll, so nothing there. Let's see if Sebastian wakes up, looking for a 5, no. And the second weasel with the two hand weapons. Now I'm going to have a go at Artemis. So Artemis scores a good 7, which becomes an 8 with his shield, which is a good score. However, the weasels managed to get 6, which takes it to 13. +1 for the two hand weapons, 14. +2 for outnumbering, 16. 16 minus 8 is 8 points of damage, which is reduced by 2 due to the armour and his natural toughness. So Artemis takes 6 damage, and that is not good. We need some more guys in this warband to wake up quick, otherwise this attack is going to really render me in a bad way. So let's see if Marek wakes up, which he doesn't, and that is not good news. The hound climbing the wall, climbs down, moves around into position. Let's see if Theodore does wake up, which is good news. The bow rabbit comes in, just waits there. I've run out of activations. The rabbit with the pole arm has a go at the mole, who's on a D6 for block. So +1 strike for the pole arm in the gateway. And outnumbered, so +4. So 4 versus 7, that's 3 points of damage on Pierre. And then we have the hedgehog, who's going to be on -3 but +3, so effectively 0, but he gets he's got his spine still, and he does win by 3, 4. So that's another 4 points of damage. So the mole is up to 7. And now the rabbit charges in against Artemis as well, which gives the rabbit a +1. And so it gives him 5, 6, 7, 8 with the outnumbering. 8 versus 2 for the shield. 6 minus the 2 is 4 more damage. Artemis is now up to 10 points of damage. Can Theodore come and save him quick enough? That is the question as the turn ends. Actually, what we should have done is check for the fear on the rabbit versus the versus Artemis. So let's just so he actually did fail that. So we'll reduce that because he would have had -3. So that only takes the 1 point of damage, as he was scared of the. Okay, that's next turn. 6v6. Okay, so the warband win the round, and Artemis will go first as he tries to take out the weasel. And the weasel manages to fluke it on a 13 versus Artemis's 2. So Artemis has blown his attack on the wounded weasel. The pug is going to try and attack the mole. Pug wins the combat by 8 versus 4, so wins by 4, adds 2 for strength, takes it to 6. 6 more damage, takes Pierre the mole up to 13. So Pierre hits back against the hedgehog, see if he can take him out. I'm actually going to throw a fate in just to see if we can take him out. And the hedgehog wins the roll even with the extra fate, so that is not good. So we now have a situation where the rabbit is going to try and take out the mole. Both rolling perfect rolls, however the mole is at -3 for wound increments, which will take him down to 10. The rabbit is on 13, taking him up 4 because of the pole arm, which is enough to take Pierre out. So that is my second character gone from this scenario. And things not in a good way here. However, Theodore comes out to hit the weasel. And I will throw a dice into that. As Theodore is on D10s. Looking for a 10, but we didn't get it, but we did get a 7, which isn't bad. So in that combat there, that is going to be 7, 8 for the charge, 14 versus the 1, 13 points of damage. That is a big blow to that weasel. However, it may not be enough, as the weasel with the two-handed weapon fights back against Artemis. 5 versus 5, so they're going to be okay there, I think. Although actually -3, -1, so that'll be a 2 for the weasel. Then goes up 3 because of outnumbering, takes him back up to 5. Whereas the cat 5, 6 with the shield, so yeah, no damage. See if Marek wakes up, which he doesn't, so he's still asleep, sleeping little mouse, and as such the dog's going in and we'll get a free hit against him. So it's 4, 5 for charging in, 6, 7 for the double-handed weapon. So Marek takes 7, but then automatically is awake. But again, halfway towards being in big trouble. The rabbit's going to move up onto this position here, and then this rabbit is going to try and hit the cat, so again we need to check for fear. He passes this time, but doesn't manage to inflict a hit, and that subsequently ends that turn there. So, oh, actually we need to see if Sebastian wakes up, which he doesn't. So that is the end of the that turn. Okay, so next turn. See if the Warband can win the roll off, which they can't. So going to go straight with the dog versus Marek. Two all, however Marek is down 1. So it's 1 point of damage, which becomes 3 more points of damage because of strong 2 and the natural strength of the dog. So dog currently winning by 1, adding the 3, 4 damage, takes poor Marek up to 11. Artemis is going to try and finish off the weasel. Which he does. The other weasel, 13 points of damage, is going to try and attack Theodore. And D8 for Theodore. does win by 1, it wins by 2 because of the extra hand weapon. However, with the wound increments, it doesn't win that. And that is him done. So Theodore will hit back at the wounded weasel and wins by 3, 4, 5, 5, which is enough with strong and double-handed weapon to take the next weasel out. So this is the courtyard is actually looking a little bit better now. However, that has freed up the archer, who is going to shoot at Artemis. So Artemis is nimble D8. In fact, actually he's in combat, so we're going to fire at Theodore. Theodore rolling a perfect roll, easily dodges that, that bow even at that close range. Marek the mouse on his D8, we're going to give him half a chance. We're going to put 2 extra dice in. If you can pull this off and get out of this mess that he's in. This is this hound with double-handed weapon. Looking for the perfect roll. Doesn't get it. It does get a 6 though. So 6 minus the 3 though. Actually no, it's only minus 2, so he does win by 1. Takes him down to 4, wins by 1. He then gets +1 strength. He's using his sword with 2 hands. He's got no other weapon, so he does 2 points of damage on the dog. Not enough to really affect the dog, but it is something at least. Okay, the rabbit has to do a fear check against Artemis, which he passes, and subsequently tries to hit him and misses wildly. And we'll see if Sebastian the rat wakes up. No. So it's just all left over to these guys now who are going to charge in. First one is going to be the pug. Just move the wound marker up to there so the pug can get in. So he's charged. He's got a friend, so he's at +3. That's Artemis. Artemis is on a 6 with his shield. However, the pug wins on a 7, so he does 1 point of damage. Becomes 2 points of damage because he's a dog, and then another 2 points of damage for it being heavy weapons. That's 4 damage minus the tough and the light armour, so 2 damage in total. Takes Artemis up to a 9. Unfortunately for the warband, they have no one left to activate, so the squirrel charges in, and the squirrel is going to be at +4 because of the pole arm, +5 actually because he's charging in against Artemis and outnumbered. So that takes 8 versus 3. So it's a win by 5, 6 for the strength of the pole arm, minus the armour, that's another 4 points of damage. So it's actually 1 point of damage because yet again I forgot to do the fear check. He would still won the combat, so just only managed to do the 1 point of damage in the end. And then the hedgehog's going to move in, double move in to assist this combat over here. Okay, so with Sebastian still out of the game, we are in a situation where the warband yet again find themselves outnumbered in the courtyard. So really need to win this, so I'm going to put a fate point in to try and make sure we get the advantage this turn, which we do. So out of fate, but not necessarily out of the battle. Okay, so Artemis is going to have a go at the rabbit with the pole arm. So let's see if the rabbit is scared of him, which he is. So the rabbit is at -3 now, Artemis himself is at -2. So the rabbit goes down to a 0. Artemis gets a 9, -2 for his wounds, takes him down to a 7. However, he then gains +2 for strong, so 9 damage against the rabbit, which is a decent hit. So unfortunately, that is Artemis done. The pug, in fact, actually the hound with the double-handed weapon is going to try and finish off the mouse. He doesn't. Oh, Marek manages to escape with a perfect roll versus the roll of a 1 for the terrier, and that now puts the hare against the rabbit. Charges in, but not far enough away to get the bonus. It's a perfect roll for the defender, which means the attack is wasted, but does take him away from Artemis. So we're going to go with the pug versus Artemis. Artemis perfect roll, keeps him out of it. Now we've got little Marek with the fact the hedgehog's come in. He's going to try and do the hedgehog, which he does. The hedgehog goes down to a 2. Marek goes down to a 4. So he wins by 2, 3. That is enough to take the hedgehog out. So it's just the rabbit with the polearm versus Artemis. 4, 5, 6, 7 for the polearm, -2 gives him back to 6. 3 + 1 for the shield, 4. So he wins by 2, but that is blocked by the armour of Artemis and his natural toughness. So let's see if Sebastian wakes up, which he does finally. So we've now got, going into the next turn, we actually have all of our guys left. So, next turn roll off, and the raiders get it, so the dog is going to try and take Marek out again, the terrier, and does this time with an almighty blow. 13, 14, 15, 16 versus 0. Marek is left in a pool in the kitchen area there, and he is completely taken out. Which this fight to the death leaves Artemis to try and swing a deadly blow at the mouse with the polearm. Nine versus 4 -2, so back down to 2, and that is 7, which again with strong will take him out, and that's another of the raiders down. The pug will fight back against Artemis, desperately trying to do something, failing even against the wounded Artemis. And the hare against the rabbit. Perfect roll for the rabbit. Ducks and dives away from the hare wielding the two-handed sword and lunges back at him. And again the hare dodges that blow as well. Sebastian comes to the doorway and casts Cure on Artemis, and heals here, succeeds. It's D8 +2, wounds removed, takes 4 off of Artemis, takes him down to 6. Sebastian unfortunately wakes possibly a bit too late The rabbit tries a sneaky shot at Artemis, does hit him potentially. Nimbleness D8, although again dodges the blow. End of that turn. She wins the roll off, and this time it is the warband. So Artemis doses his blade with paralysing poison, looking to really take advantage here against the pug. If he can do some damage, take away his activation. The pug manages to get a perfect roll, which is enough, and wastes the poison. That's not good. And so he fights back against Artemis, gets a perfect roll against Artemis, who also only manages to roll a 1. So that is going to be 13, 14, 15 for the 16 total, versus 2, which is -1, so 1, 15 damage, minus the armour, 13 damage. That is enough. The pug has literally walloped Artemis, and Artemis is down and very much out, leaving just the hare and the rat to try and hold this off. So again, can the hare do anything against the rat this time? Fails to do any damage in return. The rabbit also fails to damage the hare. Sebastian's not going to do anything, he's just going to sort of cower there, he can't do anything, he's only got cure. The rabbit's going to try a shot at the hare, see if he can hit him, so see who we target. We do hit the hare. Again, failed in the confusion of the battle, failed to do anything. The dog has now come out into a charge position for next turn. So next turn, the hare wins the combat. What he really needs to do though is really hurt this rabbit. He needs a perfect roll versus a very weak roll from the rabbit. He wants any chance of surviving this. Does win with a 6 versus a 4. So it becomes 3, 4, 5. 5 damage on the rabbit, who in turn tries to hit back and misses dreadfully. The pug charges in. We are 6 versus a 2, so it's 4 damage, minus the light armour, 3 damage. On Theodore. Terrier, Sebastian casts Cure, removes all the damage off of Sebastian. The terrier runs in and does win because of the friends, so he wins by 4, 5 because he charged. So wins by 4, minus the armour 3, so another 3 damage onto Sebastian. Into the next turn. Sebastian gets to go first. Sorry, not Sebastian. Theodore goes first, and he's going to target the rabbit again. See if we can get a good roll against him. The rabbit's now on -1. It's a perfect roll for the rabbit, which is enough to stop it. The pug hits Sebastian hits Theodore with a perfect roll. So it's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 damage. -1, 18. Minus the armour, 17 points of damage. He's already got 3, and that is effectively him out of the game. and Sebastian, being the last member of the warband with no offensive weapons, will effectively be taken out of the action as well, so there's no need to roll that. You can't escape that room. They don't want to capture him, they want to take him out. So that ends the game with 4 of the attackers left remaining out of the 8, and my warband of 5 just couldn't deal with the amount of bodies there. So we now need to do some fortitude tests to see if we suffer any long-term injuries. So D8 for Artemis, he's okay. The hare is also okay, target of 6, remember. Everyone else is going to be on D6s, so we'll go with Sebastian. He does get injured. The mole injured, and the 2 mice both get injured. So we've got Artemis and Theodore at least surviving, but the others all taking injuries. Okay, so I got a permanent injury roll for Sebastian of a 5, which is not good. That's a brain tumour, or brain trauma, sorry, and a 3. He reduces his awareness stat by 1 level. So maybe not the end of the world. However, that is the second time he's suffered that injury, so in fact he can't go below a D4, so he stays at that, so he's got away with that really. The mole, it's a 3, multiple injuries, so roll D3 times 2, so we've got 2 rolls, 17 and an 18. So horrific appearance, so he also gets fearsome, and the other one was a 4 recovery, so he just ignores that, but he is also now fearsome, which I must remember. Which you may have noticed, I forgot it on Theodore. I don't think it necessarily would have changed it too much. Marek gets a 3, which is multiple injuries, so D3. 3 this time. 16, 6 and 9. 16, 6 and 9 for Marek. I mean, that's no surprise, as he was absolutely taken apart in the kitchen area. 16, hardened, so he is fearless. 16, 6 and 9, blinded in 1 eye. So that will be his range stat down. And 6 is the brain trauma. 2, forgetfulness, so his presence is reduced by 1. So presence down to 4. Again, not the end of the world. And then Luca, that was a 5, so these are some serious bad injury rolls I'm rolling here. Serious arm wound, so he now cannot use the warrior may use a single-handed weapon only and may not use a shield, so he can't use his polearm anymore. Arm wound. Oh dear. However, it does put them and Sebastian on 7. Okay, so Artemis and the hare, according to the scenario, don't get any experience, but the 4 that were wounded do. That does put Pierre upper level, and Artemis and the hare can wander. Artemis gets an 8 and the hare gets 19. So the hare has found some ancient stones and gets a 1, so he gets 3 fate points for the next game. Definitely might need those. And I found a well, 3d6 pennies. 8 pennies. So takes me up to 35, no, 8 pennies in total now. So almost bankrupt as well. Not good. So experience, see what happens to the mole. We did get a kill at least. It's a 10. It's a stat increase. And an 11. Player's choice. So I think we're going to put, in recognition of his attacking ability, we're going to put his strike up 1. So he's now on D8s. So there we have it. The warband in a bad way, but still in it. Okay, well, what can I say? That went disastrously bad. I think from the scenario point of view, I think when the bell was ringing, not sure a D6 roll of a 6 really is particularly useful. Admittedly, once one guy wakes up, he can go and obviously wake others up, but again it's a move and an action, and because it's a 3-foot square board where the attackers start literally within 6 inches of 1d12 from the centre of the board and 6 inches from the edge, they're on you straight away. And again with 8 guys versus, what did I have, 6 total, just didn't give me an opportunity. I had to get out, I had to try and save the mouse, and yeah, that didn't really work. So and no increment to obviously drop it back down, so obviously we applied that, which I think would have worked a bit better. Maybe once the alarm's gone, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 would have been better. However, also no experience points even for taking part in the game. Actually no, survivors do get 2, I do apologise. So that would actually mean that Artemis goes up to 8 experience and the hare's on 7. So I think Artemis may well, let's have a quick check on that. 3, yes, he would have had another upgrade, so we'll just roll that now as well whilst on camera. Okay, so Artemis gets a 7, which is a stat increase, and a 12 is player's choice again. So now we could take his attack up to from D12 to D20. So I think we're going to do that because that gives him the ability to be a potential absolute killing machine. So we're going to go with that. So let's see what happens in the 4th scenario in this solo campaign, which is striking back. So we'll get on with that one, and that will conclude the solo campaign. Really, 4 scenarios. So let's see how we get on.